it's important that I just put myself 100%, apply myself, and represent, the young black male, whatever I do. More importantly that than, let's get something real meaty, real political. I really just want to put myself, make myself being political by having my principles, living by my principles, and applying myself to today's society.
Lesane Parish Crooks, I bet most of you aren't aware of this name, but if I were to say Tupac Amaru Shakur, you'll surely have an idea who I'm talking about. Rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, and activist Tupac Shakur, or commonly known as Tupac, was one of the biggest names of the music industry in the 90s. Anyone who has any interest in music is aware of the superstar effect this man had on the newly developing rap music scene. But the world of music was forever changed on the unfateful night of September 13, 1996, when the iconic rapper Tupac Shakur was fatally shot in the streets of Las Vegas. Given the magnitude of his stardom, the news of Tupac's death turned the world upside down, however, despite over 2 decades having passed. The circumstances surrounding his murder remain shrouded in mystery, conspiracy theories, and speculation. Today we are going to talk about the cold case of Tupac Shakur and try to understand who killed him and why.
Every time I speak, I want to shiver. I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world.
A star is born. Before talking about the case, let's take a look at the life of this star. Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on June 16, 1971 in East Harlem, Upper Manhattan, New York City. Shakur at birth was named as Lesane Parish Crooks, but his parents, who were Black Panther members and political activists, changed his name to Tupac Amaru Shakur when he was 1.
They have no right to try us. They have no right to accuse us of anything.
Now his second name was given after the name of Tupac Amaru II, one of the descendants of the last Incan ruler. According to Tupac's mother, "I wanted him to have the name of revolutionary indigenous people in the world. I wanted him to know he was part of a world culture, and not just from a neighborhood." In 1984, the family moved from New York to Baltimore, where Tupac first joined Roland Park Middle School, then Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, and finally the Baltimore School for the Arts, where he developed a keen interest in acting, poetry, and music. In 1988, Tupac moved to Marin City, California, and started attending Tamalpais High School, where he regularly took part in theater dramas. Tupac, however, didn't graduate from high school and got his high school diploma later in his life. Music career. Tupac had always shown a keen interest towards music, and most of his music was a sort of activism for his community. In 1989, Tupac began recording under the stage name on MC New York. A year later, in 1990, his manager placed him in a group called Digital Underground. In 1991, Tupac took a new stage name, Tupac, when he appeared in the group's hit single called Same Song. Same year in November, he released his very first album, Tupacalypse Now, which was an instant hit, getting over 500,000 copies sold. Then Vice President of U.S. Dan Quayle said, "There's no reason for a record like this to be released. It has no place in our society." While in response, Tupac explained his stance, saying, "I just wanted to rap about things that affected young black males. When I said that, I didn't know that I was going to tie myself down to just take all the blunts and hits for all the young black males, to be the media's kicking post for young black males." Tupac's second album, Strictly For My Niggas, was released in February 1993, and just like the first one, that too was a huge success. Back-to-back successful albums made him a household name in America. In 1993, he made his own group called Thug Life, and this was the time when he was introduced to the notorious Big. Soon after this meeting, they became friends with him, asking Big to join his group, while Big instead made his own group called the Junior Mafia. Eventually, the duo had a falling out. After this, in 1995, he released his third and most famous album, Me Against the World, while being in prison. The album became #1 on Billboard 200 and sold almost 250,000 copies in its very first week, making him undoubtedly a big name in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Tupac only released one more album in his life, while his fifth and last album was released after his death.
A lot of people, black, white, Mexican, young or old, fat or skinny, have a problem being true to themselves. They have a problem looking in the mirror and looking directly into their own souls. The reason I sell 6 million records, the reason I can go to jail and come out without a scratch, the reason I can walk around, the reason I am who I am today is because I can look directly into my face and find my soul.
Beginning of a relationship with Suge Knight. In 1995, while Shakur was behind bars, his family started to face some financial issues. He then asked his wife, Keisha Morris, to contact Suge Knight, who was the founder of famous Death Row Records. Knight went on to send $15,000 to Tupac's mother and later on visited him in prison and got him out by paying the $1.4 million bond. After his release, Tupac came back to Los Angeles and joined Death Row Records.
Let everybody out there know, all you motherfuckers that thought you was gonna bury me, thought you was gonna silence me, let you motherfuckers know I'm back.
The Unfateful Day. Tupac, 25 at that time, was shot on the 7th of September, 1996, in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He was taken to the hospital, but unfortunately couldn't survive. So what actually happened? How a star of that big magnitude got targeted out of nowhere within a year of him being out of prison? Let's rewind a bit and take a look at what actually happened that day. Tupac went out that day to attend a boxing match between Bruce Sheldon and Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. After the match, while he and Suge Knight were coming out, one of Knight's crew members, Trayvon Trey Lane, saw Orlando Baby Lane Anderson in the lobby. Now Anderson belonged to a rival Crips gang and had earlier tried to rob Trey in California. Trey immediately told Tupac, who went on to confront and punch Anderson in the lobby. After the fight, Shakur went into his hotel room, and after a while, he and Knight left for Club 662 in a BMW sedan. At around 11:05 p.m., Shakur's car was stopped by the police on Las Vegas Boulevard for playing loud music and no license plates. However, when they found the plates in the car's trunk, they were allowed to go. 5 minutes later, at exactly 11:10 p.m., the car stopped because of a red light at the intersection of East Flamingo Road and Covell Lane in front of the Maxim Hotel. At around 11:15 p.m., a white Cadillac stopped at the right side of Tupac's BMW. The back window of the car rolled down and someone started shooting gunshots from a .40S and W Glock 22. Tupac was hit 4 times, 2 on his chest, 1 in the arm, while 1 bullet went to his thigh. Knight, who was sitting beside him, got hit in the head by bullets fragments. After the shooting, Shakur's bodyguard Frank Alexander said that he was supposed to be in the car, but was asked to bring another car by Tupac himself. Despite being hurt himself, Knight drove off the car and Tupac was taken to the hospital. He was kept in ICU, where on the afternoon of Friday, September 13th, 1996. Shakur died because of respiratory failure leading to a heart attack. He was officially pronounced dead at 4:03 p.m.
We look at death from the selfish side, like, that guy died. Oh, it's so sad. Why is it sad? He's away from all of this bad stuff that's here on earth. At the worst, he's just somewhere quiet, nothing. At best, he's an angel, or he's at the next existence, or he's a spirit somewhere, What is so bad about that? It's only bad for the people who he left, because you guys are mad. That's like some crab in the bucket type stuff.
Investigation. Soon after the shooting, officers came to visit Knight, who was discharged from the hospital on 8th of September. He told police that, heard something but saw nothing. Police were of the view that Knight's statement was of no help. Sergeant Kevin Manning, who was in charge of investigation, said that his officers didn't receive much cooperation from Tupac's entourage. 1 year later, Manning told the media that the case may never be solved. With each passing day, the case kept on getting more and more dry, and because of the lack of cooperation, police didn't even find many leads. According to some officers, even Tupac was of no help when he was conscious for some time, with one officer in 2014 claiming that when he asked Tupac if had seen the shooter's face, Tupac responded by saying, "Fuck you." As of now, Tupac Shakur's murder sits as a cold case and is one of the biggest mysteries of the crime world. But like each unsolved case, there are numerous theories about who was responsible for Tupac's murder. While some claim it to be a result of rival gang fight, some argue that it was done because of professional jealousy, And at the same time, some conspiracy theorists even indicate the involvement of CIA, FBI, and even Illuminati in the murder. Let's take a look at some of these theories one by one and judge for ourselves what could be the actual reason that got the rapper killed at such a young age. Southside Crips Revenge. In 2002, the Los Angeles Times published an article, Who Killed Tupac Shakur?, written by Chuck Phillips. The article was based on a year-long investigation done by him. According to Phillips, the shooting was done by the Southside Crips gang as a retaliation. They killed Shakur to avenge the beating and insult of one of the gang members named Anderson in MGM earlier that night. However, in official investigation, it couldn't be concluded that Anderson was involved in the murder. Las Vegas police in the beginning considered him a suspect, but he was only interviewed once before getting killed in an unrelated shooting 2 years later. Now, Phillips didn't just stop here, as he also went on to call out the Vegas police, claiming that they mishandled the case and failed to follow any leads. Involvement of Big. 6 months after the shooting, Christopher Wallace, aka rapper Notorious Big, yep, the same guy that Tupac had a falling out with, was shot dead. Soon after this, rumors started to spread that 2 deaths were related. Although this angle was never looked at in official investigation, Phillip in his report claimed that Big actually promised a huge sum of $1 million to Southside Crips so that they can take down Tupac. He even alleged that murder weapon was provided by him too. According to Phillips, Wallace supplied the gun for the satisfaction of knowing the fatal bullet came from his gun. Wallace, however, denied any involvement in Tupac's death, and his family even showed invoices claiming that he was actually recording a song in a New York City studio. A FBI cover-up. While some of the theories are supported by actual evidence or motives, some of them don't really have a solid base. It's not hidden that during the time of murder, West Coast versus East Coast war was on its full top, and authorities were trying their best to put a leash on people involved in it. Being one of the biggest names of this whole hip-hop scene, Tupac was obviously somewhat involved in this war, and his influence on the youth posed a threat towards the FBI and government. Hence, in an attempt to put an end to a violent rap culture, they got Tupac killed. Some also claim that the Notorious Big was killed for the same very reason. Faked his death. Ever since childhood, we have heard rumors that Pac was seen in Cuba, Panama, or some other country living a double life. What if it's true? Believe it or not, one of the most famous conspiracy theories related to Pac's death is that he isn't dead. According to this, Tupac is still alive and he faked his death in order to save his life and lead a fame-free life. People who claim this theory have their reasons, like the fact that Tupac's social security number wasn't even registered in the official death index. Similarly, the man who did his cremation wasn't seen after it, and no one has any idea about where'd he go. They also claim that people related to Tupac didn't cooperate with the case because they didn't want the truth to come out. A Suge Knight plot. Some independent investigators and crime enthusiasts also claim that it was actually Suge Knight who plotted the murder. The Death Row record owner was in the car that night, and despite being heavily fired at, he not only survived but also didn't suffer much damage. Knight had a history with violence, and some people believe that the murder was due to some deal that was going according to what Knight had wanted. Any new developments? The case as of today remains unsolved. All of these theories are just theories. According to most police, it is to be blamed as they failed to do a fast investigation, and because of their laziness, most of the people related to the case ended up being dead because of various unrelated or related incidents. The most recent update came in July 2023 when Las Vegas police got a search warrant for a home in Henderson, Nevada. According to reports, this search was being done in relation to Tupac Shakur's murder.
Nearly 27 years after the murder of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur, Las Vegas police confirmed today they executed a search warrant on Monday in connection with the case.
Conclusion. Despite his untimely death, Tupac Shakur's influence remains potent. His music continues to resonate with fans across generations, and his messages still hold relevance in today's world. From documentaries to biographical films, the fascination with his life story endures, further contributing to his legacy. The unsolved murder of Tupac Shakur remains a haunting chapter in the history of music and popular culture. The complex blend of theories, speculations, and conspiracy narratives adds layers of intrigue to the story. As time goes on, the desire for answers persists, reminding us of the enduring impact of an artist who used his voice to challenge societal norms and inspire change. I'll meet you soon with another interesting case. Until then, adios.